Thank you, Flip. And coming up on Newsday, the controversial Church of Scientology. We'll talk with the president of that church about a well-publicized multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
And we'll ask him what his church has to offer its followers that include a lot of well-known celebrities.
I just feel that it's time to stand up for what one believes in, and I certainly believe in Scientology.
Now back to Newsday on CNN.
In Oregon, a battle is being fought over what some people say is the fundamental American right of freedom of religion. On one side is the Church of Scientology, founded some 30 years ago. The faith teaches that power of the human intellect, properly channeled, will overcome worldly problems. Speaking out against the church is a former member named Julie Titchbourne. She sued the church for fraud, and an Oregon jury awarded her a $39 million judgment last May. But the judge threw that out when he declared a mistrial in the case. Now Titchbourne says she'll seek another trial. In a report filed after the initial verdict, CNN's Ken Kane recently reported on the reaction of the church.
The Scientologists' protests go on, peacefully and musically. Hundreds of them have traveled many miles in support of their church. Actor and Scientologist John Travolta came up from Southern California to bolster the cause.
So it concerns me for myself, my family, for other Scientologists. It's not okay, you know. And I certainly believe in Scientology and the practices of and systems of. And I'm here to stand for what I believe in. It's as simple as that.
Other Scientologists are far more outspoken in their criticism of the $39 million judgment against their church. Reverend John Carmichael says the demonstrations are necessary to ward off religious persecution.
There are attempts to wake up the public. There are attempts to change public opinion. Because I don't think that people realize how close that a country can be to a religious persecution like happened in Nazi Germany.
Carmichael echoes the words of the president of the International Church of Scientology. Reverend Heber Jentzsch equates the county circuit court verdict with the rise of Hitler.
That's going to sound to some as if you're fanning the fires.
If I have to fan the fires in the United States to give enough illumination for people to read the Constitution and see what their rights are under the First Amendment, then, by golly, let's light some more fires. I think we're igniting the spark here. The prairie fire is yet to come.
Jentzsch expects the demonstrators to keep the heat on for several more days. Ken Kane, CNN, Portland.
With us now to explain further why his church won't give in to this lawsuit is the president of the Church of Scientology, Heber Jentzsch, joins us now from Los Angeles. And welcome to the show, Mr. Jentzsch.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
First of all, we know that the trial was overturned when the judge declared a mistrial in this case, but why would one of your former members want to sue and perhaps even almost got away with it for $39 million?
Well, I think you have to understand what the basic of this whole problem is. That case was not a case of a simple question of whether a person had a right to believe as they chose to believe. The people who were involved in that particular case were rather fascinating. There were 6 witnesses which were government witnesses. We found in this particular case that the Internal Revenue Service was involved. Certain agents by the name of Alfonso Restuccia and Al Lipkin and Mr. Phil Xanthos and people from the U.S. Attorney's Office were involved in trying to cut into the church's right to religious freedom. And the other side of this issue were psychiatric backers of a group of people, of which Miss Titchbourne is a member, her mother was a member, and one of the co-counsels early on in the case, Mr. Peter Rudy, was involved in what we call depersonalizing or kidnapping for profit. I think it's had that name, deprogrammers. They want to do away with the First Amendment of the Constitution. I think it was very classically put down in one particular sentence when Mr. McMurray, who was the counsel for Miss Titchbourne, said in the appeals court in the first trial on this case, he said to the judge there, he said, you know, Your Honor, he said, religion is hiding behind a steel wall called the First Amendment. A steel wall and we can't get at them. What was interesting is the Judge Gillette leaned down and he said, and I presume, Mr. McMurray, that you would prefer something like a picket fence. Mr. McMurray said, not even that, Your Honor. Clear ground all the way. So that case in Oregon was a case of, can we knock out the First Amendment in the United States and destroy religious freedom? That's what it was really about. And we were able to bring that issue home, I think, in the mistrial motion. And the judge saw that a great deal of denigration, vituperation, animosity had come out of the counsel in that case to inflame the jury and to make the jury commit acts which would be, well, inflammatory acts. That's how you get a $39 million decision from a jury, and fortunately it was thrown out.
Reverend Jentzsch, Bella Shaw, also in Atlanta. If the suit was directed more at religion itself, then why do you think your church was singled out?
It's a good question, Bella, and I think the answer to us has become quite visible in this case more than any other time. First of all, Scientology believes that man is a spiritual being. Man is basically good. But we have a particular philosophy which opposes this psychiatric concept that man is an animal, that man cannot really survive in any other way than being an animal, and that man should adjust to his environment. This is a concept of two ideas clashing, and the idea being that we believe that man can change his environment. We have expressed ourselves that way for 35 years. In fact, we did it first in this book, Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. It was a book which we have used for years and years and years and continue to use. It's a bestseller. That book says man can change his conditions. Man can be in control of a number of things. That case was simply psychiatry saying, you cannot have the right to believe as you believe. Psychiatry saying, we want to establish a base where we can continue to kidnap people for profit. They testified in this case. You had psychiatrists who absolutely abhor anything religious, who have said that they do not believe in God, who do not believe in any kind of spiritual being. I think it's best described by Dr. Thomas Zaz, a psychiatrist who does not like psychiatry that much, who said, psychiatry's concept of religion is this. If you talk to God, it's called praying. But if you listen to God, they call it schizophrenia. That's what this case was about. They had psychiatrists coming in there and trying to testify against religion. That's why religions came from all around the country, from all over the world, from every type of religious persuasion,
Mr.
and
Jentzsch,
supported the Church of Scientology.
We're running out of time right now. I'd like to get on to some other claims that were made by Julie Titchbourne, that your religion professed to improve your IQ, your eyesight, and your intellect. Could you expound on that? And do you believe that?
Well, I'll tell you, my IQ changed, and it went up. It didn't certainly go down. I think when Ms. Christopherson came in, she said that she couldn't see too well. That was her assertion, but when she was in the court, she was shown these documents which she signed, which indicate that she knew she was involved in a religion, was signing to become a member of that religion. And when she was shown that in court a few weeks ago, she was able to identify her name and so forth. So I guess when she was totally blind when she came in, and she was able to see perfectly when she was in the court, I think she owes us $39 million. But going on away from a facetious side of that, you're darn right Scientology can help people. You're darn right that we are able to assist people, and that Scientology helps people get better and control their lives better. That's simply because we take one concept. It's this concept here. You have what is, we call this a spiritual being, or we use the word Thetan, who has a mind and has a body. That's what man is, a spiritual being working with his mind who has a body. And those concepts are completely alien, I think, to psychiatry and psychology, but they're not alien to religion.
Well, Mr. Jentzsch,
we can help people.
Sorry, I would like to continue our conversation. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we do thank you for dropping in and explaining your side of the theory.
Well,
Heber
we just
Jentzsch.
hold that Scientology is the only road to total freedom, and we're there, and we're here to help people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And we'll be back in just a minute.
No doubt.